Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Dr. Anthony Ciaramicoli, author of The Soulful Leader, Success with Authenticity, Integrity, and Empathy. Dr. Author, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. How are you today?
I am wonderful. How did I do on that pronunciation of the last name?
You did pretty good.
That's
fine.
I do the best I can on that.
It's a long one, Paul.
Well, we're thrilled to have you on the show, and would love to get started. So question number one, and that is, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say for a first-time author, don't be overly concerned with grammar. Be concerned with your creativity and your ideas. Just write. Write. You can go back later, or you can hire someone to work with you to edit what you write. But one of the things that hurt me initially was I was too perfectionistic in terms of my writing. And Kathy Ketchum, who's a well-known writer, sort of helped me. And she told me one night, just go to your computer and just start writing. And I did. And that was the beginning of my writing career, because I think you have to let your creativity flow. Don't worry about the grammar. Don't even worry so much about the organization, because you may find that chapter 10 ends up chapter 2. But just let yourself go and free flow with your ideas, and try to write every day. I would always advise writing every day, write something every day, because you have multitude of ideas in your mind every day, and you kind of lose them if you wait too long in between writing episodes.
Yeah, it's one of the things I always emphasize too, is just get it out there. Get everything out from your mind to paper or to computer, or even to speak it out, because done is better than perfect. Just get out there. Don't be afraid to take the plunge. Get started. Get everything you can out there, because that's what we pay editors to do. We pay them to clean up our stuff, so to speak, do the slicing and dicing, make it look presentable. But the main thing is just get the content out there. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just get out your views, because you're going to find the work's going to be much better than you could ever imagine.
Yes, I totally agree, Paul.
Well, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, I think one of the difficulties is knowing which road you're going to take. Are you going to hire a literary agent? I've done that. Are you going to seek out major publishers where you have to write long proposals? Are you going to self-publish? Are you going to go with a smaller publisher, which you may get more attention in terms of the interplay of ideas? I've done it differently. I published with the major people and had literary agents. I like, at this point, publishing with someone that I know I can talk to, the leader of whoever the CEO or president of that publishing company is. I'd like to have access in a more personal way. So it really depends on your personality and the type of book that you're producing, which avenue you want to choose. But I would look at some authors in your field. Look at some people who have published things that you really respect, and see who they used. See what publishing companies they used. You may even, when I first published, I went to the books that I really respected and enjoyed and found insightful, and I looked at the agents they used, and I looked at the publishing companies, and that's how I started pursuing different companies to see what was a match for me.
And I think that's the biggest thing. You have to have a fit, because I have seen so many authors that they will go with a publishing company, and whether that's traditional, hybrid, vanity, whatever it is. And the biggest complaint that I always hear is the fact that they don't have a relationship with them. That they're not getting feedback. They're not getting communication in a timely manner. And that's one of the things that I always made a point of emphasis when we expanded into hybrid publishing, was the fact that I always guarantee a 24-hour response, no matter where I'm in the world, no matter where in the world they are. Because just knowing that you can get a hold of someone within 24 hours, I think is one of the most important things, because you have to have someone you can connect with who's going to believe in your vision, but it's also going to be there. It's not where you just send off your book and they do everything else. You want to be part of that collaborative process, and you want to have the open line of communication both ways.
Yes, and I fully agree with that, Paul, because when I have gone with very large publishers, very well-known publishers, I mean, your book is out for 10 days and then you don't hear from them again.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was not very comforting because you're kind of out there alone and you're not in a synergy with the publisher to produce the best marketing strategy. So, that's the advantages of some smaller groups.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of book launching, I'd like to talk a little bit about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
Well, I think LinkedIn probably for me has worked the best because there tends to be more of a professional audience. I have joined over 30 groups in my field in clinical psychology and in leadership, so and in stress reduction. So I will send out a release on LinkedIn to all those groups because you can post in each group when your book is being released. You can also post a sample chapter. You can post ideas that you've had, or you can let them know when you're doing interviews. So I found LinkedIn successful. When you post on LinkedIn, it also goes automatically to your Twitter account. So there's an easy way of getting exposure in both vehicles at the same time. I've also joined many groups on Facebook in this genre too, and then announcing the book release on in those groups, and also different things that come up relating to the publication of the book. Interviews that I've done. Every time I do an interview, I post it on all those sites. So that's basically what I've done. Plus, I have a very full private practice, and I have 3 leadership and communication groups that have been ongoing. So whatever you're doing in your own profession, the people that follow me, these are people that I know in person, so they're also aware of my work, and I let them know about it as well.
Well, one of the things too that I've realized, especially over the last year and a half, is the true power of LinkedIn. Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, they're great for brand awareness, but if you're really looking to monetize your investment, I am a firm believer in LinkedIn. In fact, that's actually how we connected, was on LinkedIn, because we do invite
Yes.
authors that are on LinkedIn to be part of the podcast if they feel that it's a fit. And
Hmm.
for us, for building relationships and for really able to build those and to build out our network, we have found LinkedIn is by far the best way to do that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as I said, Paul, I find LinkedIn more effective because I think Facebook, sometimes people are just posting
Mm-hmm.
things to their families or their coworkers, but I find LinkedIn more professional, particularly if you join groups
Yeah.
that are related to the book you're publishing. I mean, as you said, my book is called The Soulful Leader, so I've joined groups, corporate groups, business groups, coaching groups, also psychology groups that are focused on leadership and authenticity. So obviously those people are going to have interest in this type of book. So I'm letting them know about the release, but I'm also letting them know when I'm speaking in different places, or when I'm doing a online radio, because that's easy for people to tune into at their leisure. So I do find LinkedIn more effective than Twitter or Facebook.
Now, you mentioned specifically groups. So, what are some of your strategies? I know you mentioned you look for highly targeted groups, but what are some of your strategies to go in there and to build those relationships?
Well, connecting with people, I have over 30,000 contacts on LinkedIn. So connecting with people in those groups, and also contributing to discussions in those groups, Paul,
Mm-hmm.
because then you become known as someone, you're adding insight and wisdom, and people are looking for that, obviously, and contributing to various subjects, commenting on other people's books or articles. So when you're in those groups that people are interested in your topic, they're also seeing the way you think, and you're also leaving your website there so they can go directly to your website to read other articles that you've published, other books that you've published, and you're establishing ongoing relationships that go beyond just this book, the immediate book that you're publishing. It can contribute to future articles, and sometimes they may come and see you speak and so forth.
Well, another thing too you mentioned is that you have over 30,000 contacts, followers on LinkedIn. How were you able to build your audience to that point, and how long did it take?
Well, I would say, this is my ninth book. I think I only have been at LinkedIn maybe for the last three. I wrote a book called Performance Addiction, and then this one, the Stress Solution, and the Soulful Leaders is this current one. So I would say these three books. So maybe the last 5 or 6 years. But in the summer, I really worked at it. When I take time off in the summer, and I would guess in my vacations in the summer, I spent at least an hour and a half every day on LinkedIn, making contact with other people that I thought we would have similar interests.
Well, and that's a great strategy. It's one of those things where you're slowly building it out, but it adds up over time. So when you're able to dedicate an hour to 90 minutes a day to do that for a certain amount of time, it's amazing how that snowballs. I mean, I've
Yes.
really pushed LinkedIn for the past year, and I believe we've now just went over 7,000 connections, and kind of so much what you talked about. It was maybe 30 to 45 minutes a day for a few weeks straight, and do that every couple of months. It's amazing how that can all snowball and build those connections and build those relationships.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And then other authors contact you, and I've been asked. It's interesting, through LinkedIn, I've made contacts with authors around the world, and I've written reviews for some of them in Australia and England, in Italy. So that's been a nice experience too, because there are other authors internationally who are doing something similar as you, but then their people get interested in your work as well.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So, what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Well, I would say probably, I mean, I have several favorites, but if I had to pick one, I probably would pick The Art of Happiness by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Why do I love that book? I was raised a Christian. I'm a believer in all of the major religions to some extent. I've learned something from all of them. I find Tibetan Buddhism very grounded in daily living. I love the concept of compassion, and I love the way his view of looking beyond the surface. And his book with Desmond Tutu, I also really like that book too, because Desmond Tutu is a Protestant bishop, and the Dalai Lama is Tibetan Buddhist, and yet they're great friends, and they're not always talking about religion, but they find the common ground between them. And in that book is also written with I've forgotten his name at the time, but he's a psychiatrist who is really giving his interpretation to the Dalai Lama's thinking. And his thinking really is about trying to build a union, build an international climate, make people see the commonality between ethnic groups and races and different religions. And I think we're in such deep need of that right now in our current climate. So that is definitely one of my favorite books.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is my my country is the world, my religion is to do good, by Thomas Paine. And why do I love that quote? Because I think it's so much what we need. We're in an international climate today. I think if you're not concerned with oppression in one other country or one other group, ethnic group or religious group, then you're not really extending your empathy to be connected to a wider group of people. I love the comment because I really do feel my religion is to do good, and all the major religions really focus on that one thing: compassion, being of service to others. And I think in some ways, I'm an American, obviously, but I have much concern about other countries. And I think, we're very fortunate to live here, but I think this is what I call grace. We were lucky to be born in America. We're not any better than anyone else in the world. We just happen to be more fortunate. We were given this opportunity to have the freedom we have right now. And in our current culture, of course, I'm very concerned that we're losing that on a daily basis. But I love that quote because it's so inclusive of all people and all religions.
Well, Dr. Arthur, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
My website, Paul, is balanceyoursuccess.com. And it's easy to reach me through the website, and you can send me an email through the website as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, Paul, for having me.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.